Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday afternoon, June the 21st, 2020, and I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. I'm going to attempt to do a weekly update on methane and sea ice and the other things I normally cover on a daily basis on my Subscribe Star videos. And I didn't do a video yesterday, so I'm going to cover 2 days for that. But so I'm going to start with my slideshows. Here are the pictures that I took for yesterday. These would have been in my yesterday's show. This is from NASA Worldview. This is the dust cloud that's coming across the Atlantic from Africa, and I've been tracking this and posting pictures and reporting on it every day. And this is from yesterday. We're seeing that it was just coming up to the northern coast of South America, mainly Venezuela there, and it's been coming across all week. And here it is on CAMS. This is the aerosols layer with the dust, and this dust cloud, it's been spreading out and coming across the Atlantic, and it's also been going east as well. And I'm not sure when it's going to get to the United States. But it may dissipate quite a bit before it gets up to the Gulf of Mexico. It looks like it's going more towards South America to me. Here's Climate Reanalyzer from yesterday, June the 20th. This is the 2-meter temperature anomaly, where we're seeing red right up here all the way across northern Russia, so that means it's much warmer than normal. And there are articles out within the Arctic Circle, which starts at 60 degrees north latitude. They hit an all-time record yesterday of 38 degrees C or 100 degrees Fahrenheit within the Arctic Circle. It was a town up here in Russia. You can find that article. I don't have time to read articles to you. I'm doing good just to try to keep up with the data and showing you the data and the pictures. But there are articles out on all of this. Plus, May was the hottest year on record for the Arctic and for Russia and all this. And Sam Carana has put up a couple of new blog posts that are good that I recommend as well. So overall worldwide, this was yesterday, the world was up 0.5 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere was up 0.7 C. The Arctic was up 2.6 C. The tropics were up 0.5 C. The southern hemisphere was up 0.3 C. And the Antarctic was up 0.2 C. Here's the precipitation map, and the green is rain, the blue is snow, and it's been raining across the Arctic, across the Arctic Ocean all week, and we're still seeing some rain yesterday. When you zoom in right up here in the Chukchi Sea, and it's raining here in Greenland, and this is the thickest ice, what's left, the thickest ice. So it's been raining all the way across, so we're going to see a huge diminishment of sea ice. When I show you the sea ice this week, you'll be shocked. and it's raining over here in Russia and coming up into the Kara Sea and here in Russia, and they've got wildfires over here, and the peat is burning, and you know, once that gets started, it's just almost impossible to put out. Here's the sea ice and snow cover from yesterday. And you can see it's really degraded, and it's just being chewed up. Here's the NOAA methane data from Friday the 19th. This is for the 477/469 millibar reading. For the Met-Op-1 satellite in the morning, the mean or average was 1,887 parts per billion. The high reading was 2502. In the afternoon, the mean was 1886, and the high reading was 2273. On the Met-Op-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1870, and the high reading was 2355. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1868, and the high reading was 2299. Here's the spreadsheet. We're going to come back to the chart in a minute. So here's the data for the 19th, where I added it up and divided by 4, and the average comes out to 1877.75 parts per billion, which was a decrease of half a part per billion from the day before. Now, last Saturday, it was 1877.5 parts per billion. So it had gone up and down. It's just hovering around there this week. So as of the 19th, it showed a slight increase overall from the week before of 0.25 parts per billion. Here's sulfur dioxide from yesterday. This is from CAMS for total column for the global view, and we're seeing a new high reading of sulfur dioxide in the western Pacific Ocean. This has been going on all week, and it kind of dissipated, and now it's come back. And here it is at 500 HPA. We also saw a new high reading off the coast of Ecuador earlier this week, and that's kind of dissipating now. But see how high it is here at 500 HPA. This is reminiscent of when we were seeing the large sulfur dioxide clouds hanging out over the northern hemisphere and coming up in areas that really didn't relate to earthquake activity, and but they were just hanging around earlier, like February and March. And here's the East Tropic view, and here this is to the east of Japan. And there it is at 500 HPA. So it's gone up or come down or whatever it's doing. It's concentrated in that 500 HPA area, halfway up in the atmosphere. Here's the Pacific view, and here it is at 500 HPA. And see, here's Popocatépetl. That's the volcano that's still going off. And so in comparison, this is like 100 times worse and more intense than what's even this volcano. Here's South America, and this is the release here, or the high reading here. This is Ecuador. This is the Galapagos Islands, and this is what was left over of what had come up, or what we saw earlier in the week. So this is a new release, or new reading. This is at 500 HPA, and we can see it's most concentrated over the Galapagos Islands. And those islands are volcanic, so it could be related to that. Here's the North Pole view. And here it is at 500 HPA. And the South Pole view at 500 HPA. Now, I took quite a few pictures of earthquakes from yesterday. Yesterday morning in Southern California at the Searles Valley Ridgecrest area, there were 48 earthquakes out of 487 worldwide. Here in the Tonopah, Nevada region, and also the Mammoth Lakes area, there were 198. We're still showing movement on this Cascadia subduction zone. There were 2 here, right along the coastline of here's Northern California, and here's Oregon, and yeah, and so this was a 2.8 at Petrolia. And this says 2.4 Crescent City, California. Okay, so this is still California. Wait. Yeah, this is still California, sorry. Oregon is up here. In the lower 48, yesterday morning there were 392 earthquakes out of 487 worldwide. So you can see the majority of them are still down here and just along this western side of the United States and California, and then coming up here, and there's that swarming at Tonopah. Also, this is the Yellowstone region. In Alaska yesterday there were 53. And here's the worldwide picture from yesterday morning, 487. Now, Iceland has been having an event. They've had hundreds of earthquakes there in the last couple of days, and I'm going to show that in a minute. And we even had a 6.0 there today, but there was a 5.4 and a 5.7 there at Iceland, and then a lot of smaller quakes, mainly 3s. And USGS doesn't normally report on 3s if they're international earthquakes. Occasionally they will, but you have to go to EMSC, and then you can see all the earthquakes that they've gotten in. So we can see, here's one up here in Russia. Here's these bigger dots are 5's range, and then the next size down are 4's range. All those are 4's. And these are 4's range. That's a 4 something off the coast of Mexico. Here's 5.4 in Iceland. This came in yesterday morning at 8:05 a.m. Pacific time. And here's the 5.7 that came in at 12:26 p.m. yesterday Pacific time, pretty much on top of each other. Now we can see the tectonic plate line goes right through Iceland. Iceland is very active. It's got volcanoes there that are coming back to life, and then they've got the tectonic plate line running right through it. And geologists are predicting that Iceland will be cut in half because of geological activity. Eventually it'll be cut in half. Here is one in the mid-Atlantic region ridge of 4.9. That came in yesterday at 8:31 in the morning. Here's a picture of yesterday when this was from EMSC. 28 earthquakes in that Iceland region at that time. There have been hundreds though. Here, this is in the Tonopah, Nevada region. There was a 4.9 at Mina that came in at 1:42 p.m. on the 19th. And notice that there are 4 earthquakes that are in the 4's range here. Normally, these are 3's and 2's and under. There was a 5.1 in the South Atlantic Ocean. This came in at 4:04 p.m. yesterday. And those are all of the pictures for yesterday. We're back to the cloud. So I'll close that. Now for today, the 21st, we'll go through this slideshow. Again, we're seeing very high readings all across the Siberia coastline. High temperatures. And also in the Scandinavian area. Here today for the world, it's up 0.5 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.7 C. The Arctic is up 2.8 C. The tropics are up 0.5 C. Southern hemisphere is up 0.3 C. And the Antarctic is up 0.5 C. And here's the precipitation for today. We can see that it's raining here in these Canadian islands, and also over the Chukchi Sea. There's sea ice that's really just barely there right now. It's also raining in the Kara Sea, and it's also raining around this east side of Greenland. And look at that big rain cloud there. But there are ice sheets here that this rain will melt very quickly. Here's the sea ice and snow cover from today. We can see the blue, that's no sea ice, and where it's not white, where it's like a grayish area, that's less concentration. And see, this Baffin Bay is getting eaten away. And the Beaufort Sea here, that's melting quickly now. Alright, here's the Navy sea ice thickness model from today, June the 20th. They did the model on yesterday, the 20th, and today's the 21st. I said the 20th, so it's for today. And this is the thickness of the Arctic sea ice according to the U.S. Navy model right now. The lavender is 1 meter and under, or the purple is 1 meter and under. The dark blue, like this color, is about 1.25 meters thick, and then the dark aqua is about 1.5 meters thick, like what we're seeing around here, all of this area. Then the aqua gets into about 2 meters thick, right along here, and then up to 2.5 meters thick, right along in here. Then the green is about 3 meters thick, and just a little area here is in the green color. The yellow is about 3.5 meters thick, and there's a thin line of yellow coming around, and then the red is about 4 to 4.5 meters thick, and we can barely see a little bit of red just along the edges here. So this is the thickest sea ice here, and this is going away very quickly. And here's the east-west and north-south line. And we can see that most of the sea ice above this east-west line is about 1.25 meters and under. Here's the 30-day animation for the Navy. It goes back, it does data for the 3 weeks prior and then forecasts a week out. So the data starts on, it looks like May 31st or May 30th, and that's the data, and then the forecast runs out through the 28th. So I'm going to pause it here. So here's where they're predicting, according to this model, the thickness will be on June the 28th. A week from now. So it's really like just what we're seeing. Sorry about my voice. is this line just coming down here where the thicker sea ice is, and then all this other is the not so thick sea ice, and this will be melting very quickly, and we're just into the melt season. Just now into the melt season, and the sun is up 24/7 up there. Yesterday was the first day of summer for the northern hemisphere, and this will be melting through September as the melt season. So this is not looking good. Let's go back to, here's today. Here's where we are today with the thickness. And I'll just go through day by day. We can see it diminishing greatly on a daily basis. You can see a change on a daily basis here. And here's by next Sunday, the 28th, what they're showing. I'll zoom in. Oh, it starts going when I zoom in. There's the 20, there's the last day. So by the 28th, this is what they're showing. They're actually showing some lavender down here. This is the Beaufort Sea here. So I'm thinking we could see an ice-free Arctic, a blue ocean event this year easily. So there's that. So let's keep going. Here's the African dust cloud for today. Now it looks like it's kind of in two waves, and I'll zoom in here. So this is the first wave that's come across. There's a little break, and here's a second wave that's being picked up. So we can see it's already hitting Venezuela and the Caribbean islands here, and so Florida's up here. It doesn't look like Florida's getting hit yet, and Central America, it hasn't hit the Gulf of Mexico yet as of when they took this satellite image, but it is going to be coming onshore at Venezuela and moving west. So there's that. Here's CAMS, the dust. Here's the dust for today on their model. So we can zoom in. See, here's the first wave, and here's the second wave that's coming. And we can see just the edge of it is starting to come into the Caribbean islands and into northern Venezuela. And it's moving east. It's moving across Africa and across the Mediterranean here, and it's split, and then it's got a wave on a little bit further south, coming across the Red Sea, and then it's coming into Saudi Arabia and Iran, and this is the Caspian Sea here. And it's already hitting Pakistan and India too. So here's the methane data from NOAA for yesterday, the 20th. We have 1,885 parts per billion for the METOP-1 satellite in the morning, and the high reading was 2326. In the afternoon, the mean was 1887. The high reading was 2277. On the METOP-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1871, and the high reading was 2398. In the afternoon, the mean was 1871, and the high reading was 2360. We've got quite a bit of missing data here, but we'll just use what we've got. So here are the numbers for the 20th, where I added them up and divided by 4, and we come up with 1878.50 parts per billion for this week, and that's an increase over the day before of 0.75 parts per billion. And overall for the week, we're showing an increase of 1 part per billion. And in the last 19 weeks, it's gone up 15.25 parts per billion. So since around the 1st of February. So here's the chart. And I started tracking this in March of 2019. And so, in my last report, for the 13th, it had gone down 1 part per billion that week. And so here we are, a week later for the 20th, and it's gone up exactly 1 part per billion. And the little line, you can see it in a little angle going back up there. So we were at this level in about the 1st of August last year. 1878.5. Let's see where we were last year. 1878. I think I missed a week in here, so it was that week in between where I missed. So it was around the 1st of August that we were at 1878.5. So we're already at where we were in August with methane. So I expect it to be going up from now. We might have a couple of little dips, but you know, it's summer, and typically it starts going on a steady rise in late June and July. And we can see it last year here, the steady rise starting in June. So I will keep reporting on this weekly. Now let's continue. Here's sulfur dioxide from today, and notice that this is smeared out, this area over the West Pacific, and it looks like a new area, and it's smearing out, but it's still very high. Here it is at 500 HPA, and here's where it's still hanging around in the East Pacific near the Galapagos Islands. Here's the East Tropic view. Here we are where it's spreading out, but it's still quite high. It's not really dissipating. Here it is at 500 HPA. Here's the Pacific view. So the ring of fire is all around this edge here, all around here, the ring of fire. So we can see that this cloud from whatever source is still hanging on, and it's moving east across the Pacific. See, look how concentrated that is. And it's not dissipating. Here's the North Pole view. So here's that cloud. And here it is at 500 HPA. Here's the South Pole view in 500 HPA. Now the earthquakes that I've taken pictures of today, there were 34 at Searles Valley Ridgecrest area this morning out of 425 worldwide. Here's the Tonopah region again in Nevada, and see it's spreading out. This is near Bodie and this is Mammoth Lakes. There are 165 here today. In the lower 48 there were 311 out of 424. We're still seeing movement at the base of this. Here's the Juan de Fuca plate, and this is the fulcrum point. So we're still seeing movement there. In Alaska, there are 60 earthquakes this morning, and 424 worldwide. Here's that 5.1 in the South Atlantic. There have been some, quite a few large ones here in the South Pacific. This is 5 in the 5s range here to the east of India. This is a 5. These big dots are 5s. This is Guatemala, and this is Iceland. We're going to look at that in more detail in a moment. Here's the 6.0 that came in this morning just off the coast of Iceland. This came in at, or this afternoon, it came in at 12:07 p.m. Pacific time today. And so they're showing 7 here on USGS in the last 24 hours. Now remember, they only really report on international quakes that are usually magnitude 4 and higher. Now the other 5s came in before I took this picture. So those are off the map. So these are 4s in the 4s range. And that's all my pictures for today. Now we'll move on to methane for CAMS. The latest data is from yesterday, Saturday the 20th. Arctic view and surface level is what I have ready to show. There's the color ledger. So this is where it left off on Friday with this high release continuing near Severny Zemlya, and it's been continually pulsating. It's been going off there since January, and then the Scandinavian countries are filled up, and you'll see. I'll just run the movie. There's also been this very high release in the North Sea. This has been going on for a while. I don't know what that's from. Could be oil drilling. Just off the coast of Norway, it's probably oil drilling. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast runs Sunday through Wednesday. So we're seeing it still pulsating, and these releases are getting larger around Severny Zemlya. It's kind of swirling, and look at that, where it moves on out. And so by Tuesday there's another big release. It's coming back to life, filling up here in Russia. Now they've got wildfires burning up here, right up here in this area. And on the 2-meter temperature anomaly, it was all along here, where it was all red right along the coastline. Alaska is filling back up with methane throughout. And we're seeing the lighter waves of green moving across, which is methane releasing, but you know, we're not really seeing a blowout. It's just this continual release, release, release. Okay. Now let's look at the North Pole view. Here's the Persian Gulf. Here's India. Here's China. This is Korea here. Here's Japan. Here's Norway, Sweden, and Finland. This is Germany. Here's the UK. Here's North America. Got some pretty high readings here coming across Canada and from the middle part of the United States east. And we've got this problem spot here in the North Atlantic right there, and you can see it kind of pulsing just off the northeast coast of Canada. And now here's the global view. is still coming up in the Antarctic. Here you can see that light blue there on the western peninsula, and also here on the east coast of the Weddell Sea. It's still coming up, and it's completely dark down there, dark with sea ice coming back. We're seeing higher readings at New Zealand over here. Now we'll look at 500 HPA. This is about halfway up in the atmosphere. It's about equivalent to the 477 that we were looking at. Look at India. We've got a high reading here coming up from India, and we can see a lot of orange peeking through. So it's not just solid red all across the northern hemisphere here, but there are areas that are high, and we're actually seeing higher readings down here over Australia. Normally these colors don't come this far south. Normally the higher readings stay up north in the northern hemisphere. Here's total column. Again, we're seeing this yellow creeping across here. That's quite a bit further south than we normally see it. Here's China, and here's India. Here's a little bit of red in Colombia in South America. While we're here, if we look at formaldehyde, this can show where the fires are. Usually it's very high readings where there are fires. So we've got fires throughout Africa. It's kind of a continuous thing. But up here in northern Siberia, let me go to the Eurasia view. You can see the fires up there. Actually, let's just go to the Arctic view. There we go. This is from the fires. Look at this. This is in Canada. Guess there are fires in Canada too. You'll also see high carbon monoxide readings from fires as well. Yeah, look, these are the Siberian fires, and Canadian. Look at that. That's very high. Aerosols. Here are the aerosols. Now, you can break this layer down. This is a combo of dust, sea salt, biomass burning, and sulfate. So, biomass burning, we can click on that layer, and that's from biomass burning. That's from fires. That's how we know. Let's go back to global. So here's Africa. This is from fires, and this is from fires. And the gray, that's from burning as well. So there are fires all over the globe. If you want to see the dust cloud, there's that. Here it is from today, where it's coming up to the coast. Then you can run the movie if you want to. You can run the movie and see how they forecast that this cloud is going to be moving out. I haven't loaded it up before the show. So look how they're showing its movement here, and it's dissipating quite a bit as it moves across, and it just skims South America. And it's coming into the Gulf here, and then there's Thursday, and it shows it hitting the coast, the Gulf coastline on Thursday. Here it comes. Here it's coming across Mexico, coming up. It really starts getting hit on Thursday, it looks like. For Texas, Florida's getting it. Florida kind of misses most of it, it looks like. Then here's the second wave. See? Here it comes, this second wave. So there's a first wave and a second wave and possibly a third wave that's going to be coming. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. So there's that. There's so much to show that it's hard to just keep it short. Here's NASA Worldview from today. Let me refresh. This is the Arctic view. This is the sea ice concentration level that I've chosen for 12-kilometer grid lines or areas. So it's quite colorful. These are where it's melting all across here. So if we go back to the 13th, here's where we were on the 13th. Let's get all of that. So I'll run this. Here's the 14th, 15th. I don't know why it's blocking out. Wait. There's the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. See all the melting here? That's when it was, that was from the rain. Here's the 18th. Here's the 19th, 20th, and here it is today, the 21st. So the color ledger is here, and it follows the colors of the rainbow down from red down through purple. Purple is the least concentrated. So you can see it's all in varying degrees of melt stage here. So remember, the thickest sea ice is along here, but that's melting. We can see because it's been raining up here. You can see that that's in the process of melting. Now if we turn that layer off, this is the sea ice today. We have to look through clouds. Here's this Baffin Bay, and the ice that's here, it's not very much, it's just chunks. That'll probably all be gone in the next couple of days in this area. Here, that's ice-free there on the northeast part of Greenland. See, you can see there are no clouds right here. That's a good view. That's the sea ice. See the line? And then this is where it's piling up. Here's Svalbard. Here's the edge. Here's Franz Josef Land. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. There's no ice around there. This is a cloud. That's cloud. Here's a little bit of ice here. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. This is where we're seeing the high methane releases. Since January, hasn't stopped. Here's the Laptev Sea. See the dark there? That's totally ice-free. And there's the sea ice. You can see what it looks like there. Here's a big cloud where it's raining. This is a little bit of ice along the coastline, but it's very poor integrity. Here's the Bering Strait. That's ice-free. Coming up, here's the ice edge. What little there is. This is the Beaufort Sea. Here's Barrow, Alaska. And so on. So that's where we're at. Here's this big hole. Look at that. It rained a lot right here. It melted all that ice. So I will be following this closely. Here's the National Snow and Ice Data Center for the sea ice concentration daily, and the blue is less concentrated. So this correlates to what we saw just now on NASA World View and what we saw on the Navy website. Here's the sea ice extent. The blue line is this year. The dotted line is 2012, and we're about tied with 2012. 2012 was its lowest extent ever, but it was much thicker than this year. Here's the Greenland ice sheet. The salmon color is showing what's melting, where it's melting all around here. That's the Greenland ice sheet, daily melt. This is from June 20th. This is the cumulative melt days from January 1st through June the 20th of this year. Here's the chart showing how many melt days as you go up through the colors. Like this dark aqua is 20 melt days, like here, here, and so on. So it's been melting, see, all around the edges. Here's the melt extent for this year. The red line is this year. That showed a spike in May, spiked up to about 15%, and then it went back down, and here we are right now in June, and here's last year's. Oh wait, no, that's not last year's. The blue is the 1981 to 2010 median. So we're kind of below the median, barely, for this time of year. And that's all of those pictures. Here, this is, I know we're going long. I just had so much to show today. This is on EMSC. I zoomed into this area for Iceland to show the earthquakes. And it's showing 37 earthquakes on the map, but there are really, so here's Iceland, here's the red line, and they're all clustering, they're swarming up here, just off the coast. But there are 5 pages, and there are 20 to a page, about, or 4, let's see, and most of these are 3s, there's some 4s, here's the 6.0, these are all, see, 621, these are all today. So 20 per page. So here's page 2. It's about 20 per page. So here's through the 21st, for the 21st, starting there. And then here's starting on the 20th. That's page 2. So that's 40 so far. Here's page 3. Here's the 5.7. That was on the 20th. So that's up to 60. Here's page 4. Here's the 5.4. See all these 3s and 1s. I mean 4s, 3s and 4s. 80. So that's up to 80. Here's page 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8. And it goes back to June the 14th when this started with a 3.4 on June the 14th. And then on June the 18th was a 4.1. And then on June the 19th is when all this started with a 3.5. And then it just started. So about 88. that they registered, and they're not showing the 2s and 1s. So this is, I guess they just show the most recent ones on the map. And then they list them down here. So that's rocking. I don't know what's going to happen there. Let's see if there's anything we need to look at on earthquakes. Here's a new, we've got some 5s coming in here. This one just came in at 5.8 near North Van Lifi, India. That just came in at 3:40 in the afternoon Pacific time, and that they had a 5.1 near Darlan at 3:46 this morning. And so on. So, oh look, Africa 4.2 in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now here's what Iceland looks like right now on USGS. They're showing 7 in the last 24 hours. Now remember, they only get the pick up the 4s and higher. So these are in the 4s range, except for this 6.0. And it looks like 1 was on land, this 4.2 at Dalvik. That's right next to that red line. So these are Arctic earthquakes. They're within the Arctic Circle. So there's that. And now I'd like to finish the show by reading from the Holy Bible. I'm reading the prophetic books of the Bible. I'm on Ezekiel. Today is chapter 10. Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in between the wheels, even under the cherub, and fill thine hand with coals of fire from between the cherubims, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. Now the cherubims stood on the right side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord went up from the cherub, and stood over the threshold of the house. And the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of the Lord's glory. And the sound of the cherubim's wings were heard even to the outer court, as the voice of the Almighty God when he speaketh. And it came to pass that when he had commanded the man clothed with linen, saying, Take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims, then he went in and stood beside the wheels. And one cherub stretched forth his hand from between the cherubims unto the fire that was between the cherubims, and took thereof, and put it into the hands of him that was clothed with linen, who took it and went out. And there appeared in the cherubims the form of a man's hand under their wings. And when I looked, behold, the 4 wheels by the cherubims, one wheel by one cherub, and another wheel by another, and the appearance of the wheels was as the color of a beryl stone. And as for their appearances, they 4 had one likeness, as if a wheel had been in the midst of a wheel. When they went upon their 4 sides. They turned not as they went, but to the place whither the head looked they followed it. And they turned not as they went. And their whole body, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the wheels were full of eyes round about, even the wheels that they 4 had. As for the wheels, it was cried unto them in my hearing, O wheel. And every one had 4 faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second face was the face of a man, and the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. And the cherubims were lifted up. This is the living creature that I saw by the river of Chebar. And when the cherubims went, the wheels went by them. And when the cherubims lifted up their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also turned not from beside them. When they stood, these stood. And when they were lifted up, these lifted up themselves also, for the spirit of the living creature was in them. Then the glory of the Lord departed from off the threshold of the house, and stood over the cherubims. And the cherubims lifted up their wings, and mounted up from the earth in my sight. When they went out, the wheels also were beside them, and every one stood at the door of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the God of Israel was over them above. This is the living creature that I saw under the God of Israel by the river of Chebar. And I knew that they were the cherubims. Every one had 4 faces apiece, and every one 4 wings, and the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings. And the likeness of their faces was the same faces which I saw by the river of Chebar. Their appearances and themselves, they went every one straight forward. Ezekiel chapter 10. So I do believe we're in the end times, and that time is short. It's getting shorter by the minute. And if you haven't gotten right with God and Jesus, now would be a good time before it's too late. So I'm praying for everyone. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.